Is the anthem controversy the new normal in the NFL?
Yes, in the sense that it's never going to go back to the way it was. And that's roiling our politics now and sowing social divisions, really, in our country. The fact that there is a percentage of the population that wants things to go back to the way they were. And another larger percent of the population, in fact, that says, no, the way things were, I know, seems sentimental and sweet to many of you and good, but that's because many of us were on the margins, many of us were subjugated and not treated with the full privilege that you were. And I think that a lot of this impulse, and I understand it, I feel it too as a consumer. It would be great if things were, back in the good old days, but the old days weren't good for everyone. And even the lyrics of the Star-Spangled Banner, which some have been omitted when we sing it, but there is racism in the song itself. No refuge can hide this hireling or slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. In other words, the British were hiring American slaves to fight against the Americans, of course, because they were being enslaved, so they had incentive to fight. And so right in the lyrics of the national anthem itself, which those we no longer sing, are references to a terrible past for many Americans. And Will, I'm with you. America has this amazing ability to change, and so I choose to celebrate that and focus on that. But I don't insist that everyone focus on that. And those who say, wait a minute, there is still inequity, et cetera, that we want to, and I don't feel good about standing for this, those people and people like me who would support their position aren't going anywhere. I think the toothpaste is out of the tube. You're not going to be able to get it back in and just, hey, have everything go back to the way it was, because for many, the way it wasn't so great. Even though as a symbol of unity and et cetera and kind of ceremony, many of us did feel good about the NFL and the national anthem and the way that made us feel, and wish at least part of us that it could go back to that. But I don't think it's going back.
Okay, I want to make a couple of points here. If I could, first, on the Kaepernick issue and it going on to trial, that the arbitrator saw enough to move past summary judgment. I think that's being written, Max, today as though it's this massive win for Kaepernick and this massive loss for the NFL. It's not that way. In lawsuits, often summary judgment motions are filed by the person seeking the suit to be dismissed. It's a suggestion, hey, there's not even enough here to go to trial. Let's just forget it. And the arbitrator said, no, there's enough to continue on, to discover more evidence. There's enough at question here that we're going to proceed to a real trial. It happens. Summary judgment motions are filed all the time, and they're denied all the time. When they're awarded, by the way...
So it's not that big a deal, in other words.
Not that when they're awarded, it's a really big deal. That's the point, because they're...
Right, but this way is...
Yeah, they're not often awarded. It really means this suit has no merit whatsoever. So, I mean, it says Kaepernick's suit has some merit to move forward and now find out what's really up. Second, as to whether or not the anthem controversy is the new normal. I think, this is my prediction, Max, I think in the first week or two of this NFL season, so probably starting, what are we looking at, a week and a half from now, we will have conversations, we'll have issues, we'll have cameras that focus on players who are doing something other than toe on the line or stay in the locker room. We will probably have these conversations in the early parts of this NFL season. It will appear to be, once again, the controversy is relit. It may even be that the President of the United States chimes in and ratchets it up here for a couple of weeks. But the truth of the matter is, I think as time goes on, it will recede into the background. And that's not because the issues aren't important, and it's not because NFL players don't care about the issues, but that because the mode and medium of the protest is no longer effectuating the message and the change that they want. The point is this: the NFL has very little to do with these issues. And for that matter, much of the flag and the symbolism and the anthem that you point out, and even the lyrics of the anthem, have very little to do with the issues. So when you're protesting during a moment and in front of a symbol that really doesn't have that much to do with the actual issues you want changed, meaning the unarmed killing of black men by officers and the perceived lack of accountability or the alleged lack of accountability by those officers, it's not directly tied enough to become a new normal, Max. It's not. Change can be affected over here without the protest over here.
I appreciate what you're saying. I think the question becomes, will everyone participate in a ceremony or not? And I believe the answer will be no. The question then is, not everyone will participate. And I don't believe that you can mandate that, in fact, if it's challenged in the courts, because I don't think, while I say this every time, First Amendment rights don't extend to the workplace. In other words, you're free to say whatever you want. Doesn't mean you have to be employed where you're employed if you say whatever you want. But I do think you're probably protected in the sense that your employer can't say, hey, as a condition of your employment, you must parrot my political speech, which is what it would amount to if you said you must stand for this ceremony. Now, the question that, so if not everyone's participating, is it still a media story? Do we still notice and talk about it? And Will, you brought it up. It depends. How long Trump is in the White House, he clearly believes that this is a winner for him, according to Jerry Jones, when he points it out. And if he does say something, how much attention do we pay to it? Do we react to it? Do we cover it as a story? It's very different because he's the president. But LeVar Ball, we stopped covering every single thing he said because we decided he's an attention seeker and not everything is relevant, and he sees it.
No.
And if the so,
wait till
so,
the LeVar,
so I don't think everyone
wait till the
participate.
LeBron LeVar show. We'll see if he comes back during that.
Right, but that's my point, Will. I don't think everyone will participate. I think Trump will continue to point it out, and I think we'll continue to react to it. So I think for the time being, it's the new normal.